Hi, I'm John Reed, one of the maintainers of ApprovalTests.Swift. Llewellyn Falco, the creator of Approval Tests, likes to use a tic-tac-toe board to demonstrate how you can use approvals for a much simpler style of test-driven development. Normally in TDD, you have to get your test assertion right first, but Approval Tests lets us evolve that assertion gradually. Let me show you what this looks like. Following Llewellyn's example, let's start at a whiteboard. Let's create a tic-tac-toe board and place some markers. An X here, an O here, another X here. And let's use zero-based coordinates. Now to write a test for this, let's start by describing this in natural language. Let's start working in our test case, but with comments. Using natural language, create board, place X at 0, 0. Let me duplicate this a couple of times. So we place an O at 2, 0 and another X at 2, 2. And then we want to verify the board. Now that we have a description of the test that we would like, let's begin converting this into code. So make a tic-tac-toe board and hold on to it in a variable. Then I can say place X at 0, 0 as XY. Duplicate this. And this will be an O at 2, 0 and an X at 2, 2. And finally, we can say approvals verify the board. Once we have our code, the comments no longer serve us, so we can get rid of those. And that's a pretty nice looking test. Now I'm using app code because it will let me generate code from the call sites. So it's also handy to use app code as the diff tool for approval tests. To do that, we go to the Tools menu, create a command line launcher, and hit OK. Once that's in place, approval tests will detect it. So let's now begin defining the tic-tac-toe board. I'll do it right here in the test code. Position is going to be a struct. Instead of an initializer, let me just make a couple of properties, and we'll lean on the implicit initializer. And finally, the place method. This is going to place a marker at a position. Now, to work well with approval tests, it's often nice to have your system conform to custom string convertible. We'll implement its method. And in here, I can use another thing from approval tests, some string utilities, in particular, print grid, a 3x3 grid, and our cell printer. Let's just start by having it print a dot. And let's see what this looks like. I'm going to run tests. I can see that the grid is being printed as a bunch of dots. That's good. But I'd like that first line to be not in the same line as the name of the type. So let's add a new line and try that again. There, I like that. And I'm going to approve this, even though this is not the final goal, it is a good incremental step. Now, if I run tests again, they will pass. It's always good to get back to green so that you can continue to refactor and know whether you've broken anything. Now let's start implementing this cell printer closure. I'm going to turn it into a trailing closure and say this is going to be XY. And Let's look up a position on the board. X, X, Y, Y. And if that's not there, then I'll put the period. Now I can say, let's create this property. It tries to create a property, but it put it in the extension. So let's move this up. And this will be a dictionary of position to string starting as empty. I'm getting an error here that says that position does not conform to hashable, which it needs to in order to be a dictionary key. So I'll say this is hashable. And now let's try this again. The tests still pass. Now I can try implementing the place method. And this will simply be board at will be the marker. And run tests again. And there we have our tic-tac-toe board. This looks good. So I'm going to approve this. Compare this to the whiteboard. That's what we want. So now, with that approved, tests pass. So that's a quick demonstration of how you can use approval tests to do test-driven development. Instead of using rigid test assertions, the approval process lets us evolve the solution. This is simpler and faster than figuring out upfront how you want to code your assertions. If you have any questions about approvaltests.swift, please ask in the comments below, or you can reach me on Twitter. I'm at QCoding. It would also help if you add the hashtag approvaltests. Thank you for watching.